Coach Kerry Martin, and the Wild are 6 weeks, 2/3 of the season, are 4-2 after a 38-22 win over Althoff last week. And Coach, we talked about this after the game, but finally Friday you put together the kind of game that you felt like your team was capable of doing, and that's all 4 quarters of solid football on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, we felt like it was by far the most complete game we've played. Maybe, we know there's a lot of room for improvement still, but you're right, it was the most complete 4 quarters we played, and I thought it was a good effort. Kids played really hard. We had good execution in all 4 quarters and in most of our phases, and just felt good to come off the field knowing that we're finally starting to play like we.
Some breaks went your way too. The opening kickoff, you wound up kicking it off of an Althoff player and got the recovery. Went down and scored right away. You had a pretty good offensive first half, and then you came out in the second half. First possession, went down and scored and kept that going. So some things that you hadn't done previously, getting some breaks, keeping momentum going, you're able to do that Friday as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the way we started the game with the squib kick that went off the play, as you said, and the first play of the 3rd quarter was about a 50-yard run by Brant. Mm-hmm. And those are big plays. Those are tone setters for us. And I felt like there wasn't really one play the game hinged on, but that was big. I thought the Mitchell Wilkie field goal was a big field goal. It was a response to we went down the field and couldn't get points. We got a field goal out of it, and it's good to add those 3. And I mean, a lot of more than any game this year, I felt like it was a lot of little things that made the big difference.
One of the things that has been a problem is the defense, not overall, but with consistency. They've had some streaks where they've given up a lot of things. And Friday night, you got 5 turnovers. If you count the onside kick or the squib kick as one, but then you had 4 interceptions by 4 different kids, and you seemed to stop them anytime they were going to get a little bit of momentum. You were able to stop them, and then in turn, the offense turned around and capitalized on all those turnovers as well.
They did. Points on turnovers were huge for us, and I think our defense helped set those up. And those are momentum changes as well. And I agree with you. I think for our defense, which has continued to improve week after week, it was a good performance. I think one of their touchdowns came off a flea flicker or a gadget play, hook and ladder play, and they kept them from driving the ball consistently, and they made plays on the ball, created some turnovers, and as I said, those are big momentum swings, and the offense went out and then did their part by capitalizing on those turnovers, and that made a huge difference in the ball game. And I think the tone was set from the beginning, but it stayed. We didn't have too many lulls. We had 2 series that went 3 and out in the 3rd quarter. But things were there. We just weren't quite connecting, and outside of that, it was a pretty good performance.
And then you try to make a team defensively. You try to make a team one-dimensional, and you were able to do that. Althoff managed just 95 yards running in the entire game. You forced Mertens to throw 36 times, and then that's where the secondary came through with the interceptions.
You're right. Make them one-dimensional. Don't let them do a balance of both, and it makes them harder to defend. I think having the lead in the second half certainly helped. They chose to go to the air quite a bit. He could throw the ball, and they've got some good receivers, but I think the fact that we made some plays on the ball was big for us.
Talk about Brant and the game he had, 125 yards rushing, threw for almost 200 yards. When he is together and playing at the top of his game, he is as good as anybody in this conference.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, there's no doubt that he can be a big play player. He can with his feet. He can do it with his arm. He has been a good leader the last few weeks for us, both at practice and in games. He's managed the ball, managed the play well. He took 3 sacks the other night and didn't panic on any of them. Just, tucked the ball, took the sack, lived for another day, lived for another play. And I think that was a huge factor. Sometimes the biggest plays made by a quarterback are when they choose not to try to make a big play. Take what they're giving you, don't make it worse, and take another snap and go out on the next play. And Brant did that several times on Friday. And we're able to build some things around what he's doing. And I think having John Dalton back was another big factor.
Someone I wanted to talk about, but one of the things that makes Brant so much better and makes his team so much better is the fact that 11 pass completions to 6 different guys.
Right.
And nobody had more than 3 catches in the whole game. And so when you can do that, when you've got someone who can throw that well, and he can throw it to anybody on the field, that just makes you so much harder to defend.
It does, and teams can't say, well, we'll double cover this kid, and there goes their passing game. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other guys that are catching the football, and he's not afraid to spread the ball around. And what I like is he's dropping back and reading his progression, which is taking him to the open receiver. He's not looking for one guy every time, and that's a good sign of some maturation by him. And I think the ability to spread the ball around, to have the run game start clicking a little bit with John Dalton back and complementing Jared and Mitchell, and it gives us another guy that can help us in the backfield, and certainly that depth is going to help also.
And one of the things I really liked was we saw a pass play early in the game where Brant threw to Brandon Osborne, and it was an open play, and he would have scored, and he dropped the ball. Not very long later, very similar play back to Brandon, and Brant wasn't afraid to throw it to him open in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't afraid to go back, and it was the exact same play actually, and it was a big play for us. I think back, Brant third quarter, early fourth quarter, and he found Logan Knoll on a scramble.
Yeah,
and that was a big play. And Logan is a guy that plays some for Z for us out there at our right receiver spot, and just did a great job of working to get open, and Brant had the confidence to get him the ball. It was a big first down for us.
You talked about John Dalton, and it looked like when he went out there, he was that close to breaking off a couple of big plays.
I agree.
And he got the touchdown catch there in the ball game as well. So he adds another weapon to that offense.
It's going to take a game or two or three to get John back where he was. I mean, certainly there were glimpses of it, and you're right. I felt like he was a move or a tackle away from making a big play on Friday, but he brings that element, that big play element that we need, and he can do it catching the ball, he can do it running the ball, and he's going to be a good addition for us.
Talk about this Friday night. You're playing Centralia. Centralia went into their game last week or 2 weeks ago against Althoff 4-0. Matisse Scott, their best running back, got hurt in that game, didn't come back, and people are saying he's possibly out for the season. From that point on, it seems like all the momentum that has been kind of sucked out of them. They're trying to regroup a little bit after that. Yeah,
they've had a couple of rough weeks, but I know that their backs are against the wall. It's always dangerous to play a team that's, had a struggle the last couple of weeks, and have a coach like Ray Calling that is able to get a lot out of his kids. And I know that Ray will have them ready to play. And we're cautiously watching this football game because we understand that this is a dangerous opponent. You can look at the last 2 weeks and we don't want our kids to get a little overconfident about who we're playing. Still a very good football team. A couple of weeks ago, like you said, they were 4-0 and at the top of the conference or headed into the conference play. And we know they're dangerous. They have a very good receiver in Chase Alcorn. Quarterback has proven to be a good player, a good runner and passer. We got our hands full, and we're not going to be deceived by the last 2 weeks. I know they'll regroup, Ray will regroup them, and they'll come out here ready to play.
Well, and one of the things, the quarterback's just a sophomore, but I've seen from week to week, he's made some big plays,
yes.
Both running and throwing,
yes.
as you said.
And they've done a great job of coming back in some ball games against Bethalto Civic Memorial and against Carbondale, I think.
They scored late against Carbondale, got a 2-point conversion.
Two nice comebacks. I mean, so we understand there's a lot of heart in this program. They've had a couple of really good seasons in a row, and Ray's got that program back in the right direction, and so we're expecting to get their best on Friday. I'm sure we will.
You are in a position now that maybe a couple weeks ago you were a little worried about, especially after the game against Cahokia. Not quite sure how things are going to go. You've got 2 big wins. You've got a lot of momentum going, and now if you can get a win in these last 3 games with the schedule that you've played, because everybody's so balanced and has won some games, 5 wins probably get you in the playoffs this year.
It might. I hate to play that game, and I'd rather think about 7 and be guaranteed or 6. But we're just going 1 week at a time, and I hate that old coaching cliche, but it's absolutely true. I mean, we know we're only as good as our last ball game, and last week's game against Althoff doesn't count for points in this game. We got to play great again on Friday. I think from Mount Vernon on, it's like every week is a playoff week, and you got to bring your best, and you expect the best from your opponents. But we are in a much better situation than we were 2 weeks ago. I mean, we are able to kind of control our own destiny if we just keep winning. We don't have to rely on a bunch of other people to help us out. Just keep playing, keep winning, and most of all, Tim, keep getting better. I told him yesterday at practice that you're getting a lot of people telling you great game, congratulations, and this and that the last 2 weeks, but that's not the best we can play. And I think we need to be careful not to be satisfied and think, well, we reached our limit, that's it. We can still get better. We still need to work to improve. And we got to stay hungry. We got to be hungry the next 3 regular season games and get ourselves in a better situation if we're fortunate enough to make the playoffs.
Friday's game has some added special meaning. The pink bracelet, the pink shirt. Friday's the 3rd annual now pink out for the Marion Wildcats. Talk about the significance of that and how that's evolved, because I think it started out with the fire department wanting to cooperate a little bit with the school, and it's kind of turned into really taking ownership of the pink out and what it means.
Well, you're exactly right. And we did something in t-shirt sales in conjunction with the fire department. And the next year we kind of borrowed from SIU's blackout game, and we decided to let people sponsor a jersey for $75 last year, $100 this year, and do it in honor of or in memory of a cancer victim or a cancer survivor. And we have had unbelievable support from the community in this, and we've sold a ton of jerseys, and all the proceeds go to someone within our district that is going through the battle of cancer right now. And so we've had a real outpouring of support, people sponsoring jerseys, and the players will be wearing a jersey, and it will have on the back the name of that cancer survivor in memory of some person who suffered from cancer or died from cancer. And so it's kind of a nice night to let kids, while they're playing the game, step away from the game and understand that there's something bigger than this going on. That we all talk about the battle, the game, the gridiron, all that stuff, but there's other battles going on every day in people's lives. Serious battles against something serious like cancer. And maybe this will add some perspective to what we're already trying to achieve, and let them understand that sometimes there's things bigger than the game. Even on Friday night, the game itself matters. Of course it matters. But there are people fighting bigger battles every single day, and we want to respect that, and we want to honor them, and do something, through football to benefit others. And I think our kids have really embraced that.
This particular event may have more special meaning for this football team, in that I understand there's 3 people who are going to benefit from the funds that are raised. One of them is Tracy Nicholson, and Justin is on the team and playing for his mom and wearing his mom's jersey, and that just, that's one of those things that, people sit back and go, wow, that's about all you can say is people go wow.
It is a big deal. I mean, it makes it personal. It makes it personal. One of the kids will be wearing the mother-in-law's name on the back. Last year, we had a jersey worn by Jawan Tucker that had my dad's name on the back, and there's a real moment there on the field when you look out and see your father's name draped on the back of one of the players on the field, and how that my dad was an inspiration to me, and I wear a black armband every game to remind me of my father, who was a great coach in my life, and there's a connection there between your life, the kids' lives, and the game they're playing. And I think it brings a lot of things full circle. It's a good night. It's a great night for the community, for the players, for the parents. It's special.
It's pink out Friday night. If you don't get one of the t-shirts that are being sold, at least wear pink to the game Friday night, and I'm sure everyone's going to be looking for a big pink crowd.
Absolutely.
Coach Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats, they play Centralia Friday. It's pink out night. For Dateline Marion, I'm Tim Petrowich.